We have gotten, in the meantime, one comment also from Austria. I think the question that the questioner asked, in a sense, has been answered already in the address. She nevertheless says, thank you very much for your extraordinary speech. And she's hoping that Büsow has a dépendance or partners in Austria. But since you mentioned Jacques Cheminade, I wanted to bring this question up because it's also a good opportunity to talk about this. A question that has reached us earlier. What do you think is the outlook for the presidential election in France, where our friend Jacques Cheminade is running as a candidate? In the media here, you're already only presented with two candidates, namely Sarkozy and François Hollande. And Hollande, he says, also somehow seems strangely pro-British. And of the other candidates, we don't need to talk because none of them actually has reached the necessary support of these 500 officials. He says it would be very good if there were only three candidates left, and Cheminade would have a very good chance to become president of France, because then he could read Mrs. Merkel the Riot Act. So I might pose that as a question, and just because it's of a similar nature in a way, a comment of someone who says, those who are rich will try everything to maintain their system. I see this kind of contrast in South Africa, where you are confronted with poverty on the one side, and on the other you have walled-in people with security service and so forth, the rich ones. And those will never accept this kind of radical change. What is your opinion about that?
Well, I mean, first concerning Jacques' campaign, well, I think it's a very interesting situation, because he obviously has gained the trust of the elected officials who have given him their signature, because they recognize that what he said in '95, when he already was running for president once, warning of the financial system to collapse, and now he's campaigning with the slogan "World Free of the City and Wall Street," that he represents the interest of the French population and others don't. I mean, I asked him the other day, why is it that you have the signatures and, for example, Marine Le Pen from the Front National has not? And he said, well, it's the arrogance of some of these candidates who send out questionnaires to the mayors saying, are you willing to sign? And the mayors who are fighting an existential fight, you know, for their community, for the farmers, for the communes they represent, they don't want to be treated as answering machines or just, you know, some mechanical deal, while, you know, we have been organizing these mayors for the larger ideas we represent since years. So some of these people have been following us for years. They have understood that you do not get out of this present crisis with a gimmick, with some little cosmetic solution, you know, a little dot on your beauty problem, but that you need a real fundamental change of the system, which goes into very deep epistemological, ontological questions of man and nature. And so therefore I think we are at a point, I mean, the French election is still 2 months away. Now, that means we have a lot of crises. For example, the month of February, you will have an explosion of liquidity pumping. The European banks have asked another 1 trillion euro to keep afloat only in February. So they start printing the trillions now. Why not 5 trillion? They want to have 5 trillions for the rest of the year. Why not 10 trillion, 20 trillion? It will soon come to that if nothing is changed. So then, beginning of March, there will be the Russian election, which I think will be also very significant, because you will have definite efforts by this destabilization apparatus I mentioned earlier to try to cause dissension there. interestingly, the Greenies in Germany are fully part of that. Trittin and others, they just had an event in the Bundestag calling for an Arab Spring in Russia, fitting with their oligarchical profile completely. Then you have the new report of the International Atomic Energy Agency, supposed to come out at the beginning of March, and you can expect, around that an effort of the war party to increase the drumbeat for war. Then you have the entire March, and you have 3 weeks in April. So with this system, the euro collapsing, I think the world can look completely different in 2 months from now. So under normal circumstances, I think Jacques, has not a chance to win. He's still in the 1-digit percentages. But with the developments in the next 2 months, everything can change. So let's hope for the best.